Join us on a voyage into Calgary's world of eSports. eSports is a growing billion-dollar industry where gaming is taken to a whole new level. It is competitive, it's online, or in person. Bringing gamers together, it's where gaming reaps big monetary prizes. Here is where we unravel the city's vibrant esports scene, reshape any false perceptions, and learn to celebrate the positive impact of the gaming community.
3, 2, 1.
Let's make it a total eClips. I'm Jordan Lee, gamer, esports enthusiast, and your host for Total eClips. Who brings competitive gaming to life? The commentators. Here we will uncover the technical intricacies that drive broadcasts and learn how commentators craft exciting stories around players and their games. Let's bring them the mic, everyone. Today we're here at University of Calgary. Thank you for joining us. Can you please introduce yourself and your experience in esports broadcasting?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Ryan. I'm part of the student-run esports club at the University of Calgary. It's called Calgary Esports United. As being the president of Director Collegiate as well, I'm also a caster for our League of Legends streams.
Oh, that's so fun. I'm so excited to discuss esports broadcasting with you today. So can you tell us, what is esports broadcasting?
So esports broadcasting, if you want to think of like the sports equivalent of sports broadcasting, it's basically where you have a team of individuals coming together, setting up a place for an audience or people online to view and watch competitive video games, as well as providing commentary and entertainment to them as well.
Yeah, you mentioned that it's like similar to sports broadcasting. Like, what's the difference between esports broadcasting and sports broadcasting, like the traditional kind?
I guess generally speaking, when there's sports broadcasting, there's more of like the in-person aspect of sports, but there's like a unique perspective for esports broadcasting because it's a virtual video game, and the availability of it, as well as other people, is also designated for online as well, more or less, but also it can be an in-person venue as well, much like sports broadcasting traditionally.
My name is Mason Marriott. I am competitive events lead at Calgary Esports United. So we're Calgary Esports United. Oftentimes we'll say CISU or something like that, just because it's easier. It's a bit of a mouthful.
Yeah.
We just do, events, we do teams, we do all these different gaming things on campus.
Yeah, so I heard that CISU does broadcasting as well.
Yep.
How did that start?
So back when we were originally a club, it looked a lot like collegiate teams streaming their own games. Then as we went, more and more events, we were able to do streams for those where we cast them, and we'd have the full streams. Recently, we've been doing more and more. So at almost all of our events now, we try to do streams. It just takes the whole experience from 1 to 100, just because you get to look back at it, you get to have people watch you do it, and it feels a little bit more like you're a real professional, and you get to have the full competitive experience that you would at any big tournament.
Yeah, you mentioned like looking back at it and stuff. It must be nice to reflect on your new game skills through broadcasting when you look back on the footage, etc. So I was curious, when did this club and you guys just start broadcasting first? When did this initially begin?
So I can't speak to the first time we've ever done it. I haven't been here since some of the more veteran members, but I know that since I've been here, it generally started with a lot of smaller events. So 4 or 5 teams, very, very intimate, all in the room. We were playing games, and then at some point we always knew that we wanted to do bigger produced events. Last year, in 2024, around that time, we started doing more and more streaming at these events, and it gained so much more interest because people saw it. It was more visible. People were more excited to play in them. So that kind of pushed us to start doing these more and more of these events, and I think we've gotten pretty good at it. Where it originally started, we might have been doing it online. Oftentimes it may be over Discord and just the very simple, just showing the game and us talking over it. Since then we've found certain overlays and certain things we can do to show the score, maybe show picking and banning, and then there's ways that we can put cameras on the players, there's ways that we can put cameras on the casters. We've begun doing in-person casting, so we have people sitting next to each other, which in my experience really helps with conversation, because it's hard to keep eye contact and chemistry with someone you can't see. But overall, we've just slowly increased what we do. It's been a learning process, but I think we have been having a ton of fun doing it.
My name is Abiram. I'm a fourth-year software engineering student at the University of Calgary. I'm the co-president of my club at Calgary Sports United, and I've worked shoutcasting and broadcasting for many of the events that we've had here. Our broadcasts typically have 4 roles. One would be a broadcaster. This is the person who's running the stream and like in charge of what the viewer sees on their Twitch screen. So they're handling the scenes, and they need to be familiar with the software and whatnot. There's software we use for streaming specifically and for linking multiple places and multiple mics remotely. So from the gaming room to the broadcasting booth, there's software we use for that. So the broadcaster needs to be familiar with that software, and there's videos online for how to get better at that. There's an observer, so they use the in-game observing tool to get different angles and perspectives at the right time, and they need to have very good game knowledge to switch angles at the right time and know what's going on. And then there's a play-by-play caster. They basically just need to have something to always fill the gap and have something to say. Obviously, they need a baseline level game knowledge, but it doesn't have to be too crazy. And then there's something called a color caster who specializes in more analytical casting during the downtime, and they typically understand the game at a very high level.
Is it like best to be a player at like a higher level in esports before you go into commentating, or can you do it from like, you know about it, you read about it, but maybe less experience it?
There's different avenues and there's different perspectives you can take it at. So obviously for specific types of roles within broadcasting, it is beneficial that you've been a past player before, or you've played at a very high level in that game as well. That also applies to like other sports, like let's say hockey. There's a lot of broadcasters that have been professional players before, and that also translates to esports as well. But there's also the other side where the part of broadcasting and conveying what is happening, there's sort of like you have to be entertaining, and you have to like really sell what you're having and the fun you're having as well. So that side of it as well doesn't mean that you have to be very high skill level for the games you're representing, but just having a baseline knowledge of it and like being able to identify things that are happening, and as long as you can convey it in a very entertaining way, then that also works out for those that don't fit the professional sort of perspective. Yeah.
What kind of skills do people need to be a commentator or esports broadcaster?
I'd say there are similar traits between traditional sports broadcasting and esports broadcasting. It's beneficial that or you played it before and you have like a baseline, and you can apply that to how you convey what is going on, and you convey as well like what distributed to the people watching. So it can give you unique insight, and you can sort of identify certain aspects of play or gameplay that's happening. And so both of those sort of coincide together.
I find it fun that it's like a little bit of something for everyone. If you're an entertaining personality, you could possibly get into broadcasting the game with knowledge. Of course, you can't know nothing, but then you can also do it from like a retired player or a current player. So that's very nice. It's a little bit for everyone to an extent.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, there's different ways you can approach it. I mean, you usually won't be working by yourself. Like you'll always be with somebody, or there'll be multiple people in your team, and you can sort of work off of them as well. Someone might be a higher level professional in the past, and there's this other person that may be very passionate about what they see and have a very good way, or maybe have the very entertaining way of representing what is going on. And those two things working together are what make broadcasting very entertaining.
So you mentioned that you're just often a co-broadcaster, a co-commentator. How do you, meet them and like vibe with them? How do you get to that point of being able to bounce off of each other well?
It takes practice. Obviously, I think this applies to like any sort of broadcasting or like even anything in general, like just getting reps in, just experiencing it and sort of reviewing or seeing how you work with other people. And I guess if you're working with your partner in this for broadcasting, you can see if they're more analytical about it. Are they more in the moment type? Are they more of a post reflection of what just happened? Or if they're, you know, predetermining, you know, or predicting what might happen. You can also just look at it purely like theoretically or analytically as well. And you can give very good input, even though there might not be another person with you. You can still convey the information, and that's very crucial and pretty knowledgeable to the audience as well, are from all skill levels, right? It's just like sports, there could be people in higher divisions, lower divisions, or prospective students or athletes, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
There's guys that are better with the technical aspects,
Yeah.
guys that are just good at talking like me. There are guys that are all about broadcasting and they love the tech. So some guys are bringing their Raspberry Pis and different tech stuff because they're able to and have the kind of experience and the knowledge to do that. So I might not be a computer science major, but these other guys can help me, and I rely a lot on my team to help me out with stuff like the broadcasting.
How does one start broadcasting and grow in that, you know, field?
On campus, we're one of the largest clubs handling esports. We're kind of the only one devoted to that. Luckily, people go and find us. Most of the stuff is club related, so it's hard to apply elsewhere if you're not in a university setting. So that's often how we get people in. But really the big thing to have viewers when you're broadcasting is having a community. Since we do all of these extra events to make sure that everybody's happy, we represent the games and we try to make sure that everybody feels a sense of community. That's what brings people out when we do these things, because that's what keeps people active. If they're active in the community, they'll see, hey, we're broadcasting this game, and they might say, maybe I'll watch. And if they end up liking it, they'll stick around. And luckily, once I got here, we already had a semblance of community. We already had a lot of people around, so I got a bit lucky on that end. And I am so thankful that everybody there is so encouraging and excited to be here and really passionate about esports like we all are.
Community is so big in everything, and especially in esports.
Typically, we've used Streamlabs to stream on Twitch, and then we use this online software called Video Ninja to link up cameras and microphones from different remote locations and have them all incorporated into the same Streamlabs setting.
That allows us to connect one computer to another computer, so that, say, if we want to do casting, we generally have to do that from a different room. So we can patch that video over to the main stream room, and then that person can push that through to the Twitch where everyone can watch it.
Is there any like hardware that for any of those roles separate from software?
Well, you'd obviously need a microphone and like a webcam for certain events, and then just probably like a somewhat high-end PC to handle streaming.
Yeah. How does that go, like scheduling and like organizing who's on the broadcast?
So that's the difficult part, is that you don't know who's going to be in which part of a tournament. As the bracket moves on, you don't know which teams are going to be playing, so you have to decide which games you want to broadcast, because there's going to be more than one at a time. Plus, since you're in person, there's only so many computers to go around. So you have to know who's going to be where, and if they're okay with being on the stream and all of that stuff. Past that, it's really just getting in the game, and most of these games have an observer function built in that we can use to give the best experience to the viewers, and then we just stream that into another computer where we will have our scene set up, and then they will put that out to everybody else on a bit of a delay just in case we mess something up.
What's the biggest success you've had in broadcasting and streaming?
Our biggest success story was probably the Winter Classic. That was Winter 2024. So we threw 2 tournaments on the same weekend, which was a bit zealous, maybe a bit overzealous. So we ran Valorant and League of Legends on the same weekend. That tournament was our greatest turnout for players. We got 8 teams for League of Legends, and we got 4 teams for Valorant, I believe, was our final numbers. That's a lot, especially when you can only run 2 games at once. So all in all, for over 1 weekend, 2 days, we spend 12 to 13 hours a day, maybe even up to 14 working, running the stream, making sure the games are running smoothly. Some of my team members were a lot more in on the back end of the stream, which I appreciate them more than I can say for doing that.
So I think in terms of my most memorable moment, it would probably be like just a series of moments. We wanted to do all the broadcasting in person for the first time. Typically we've done it over Discord and online, but this is the first time we did it in person. So we had the broadcaster at the room and they used one of the PCs there to stream. And then we had our commentators in the booth there. And we had, I think, 7 or 8 people on the broadcasting team then. It was probably the largest broadcasting, I guess, operation the club's ever run. And it turned out really well. And I think for me as like a commentator, it was when I felt like I actually was decent at what I did. So just seeing that culmination of like my talent as a commentator and just all the hard work that everybody put in to make the broadcast happen, it was a very special moment for sure.
It was our biggest success. It was a ton of fun. And that was probably my favorite moment as far as competitive events go and broadcasting. That was our largest foray into the situation. Since then, we've kind of taken what we learned from that day, definitely avoid some of the mistakes we made.
Yeah, well, congrats on that event. It sounds like a big deal. And
Thank you.
Yeah, I was curious, what are upcoming events you guys might have?
Our current plans are to run multiple tournaments this semester. We've got 4 planned already. You can kind of find these things on our Discord. If you look at the Calgary eSports United Discord, that's the best place to know what's going on in the community specifically.
How has esports broadcasting evolved in Calgary and in the world since you began, and how do you see it further developing?
In the world, I guess, like if you want to look at the overarching area of esports, you can kind of see like the development of like how professional it's become. So at the very beginning, like maybe the early 2010s, more or less broadcasting was just in somebody's basement, or somebody was just having a camera there and just showing gameplay. And that's also how a lot of clubs start out too when they showcase their games as well. But as you sort of build a team, or you have people that want to get involved with it, and live streaming has become a lot more updated now, you can have the opportunity to spectate these games. You have people that can commentate on it as well. I think it's come a long way since what esports started out with as well. What is it, like 10, 15 years ago now? In Calgary specifically, in terms of here at the University of Calgary, before, it has been sort of a tradition to have things broadcasted. So like even going back to a few years ago when I wasn't part of the club, their games,
a Twitch stream.
Yeah, like there'd be a Twitch stream, there'd be somebody commentating, someone spectating, and it would be just somebody that is just entertaining or giving people the opportunity for their friends to watch their other friends in the tournament. So, and I guess now with collegiate esports and the development, and I guess the more involvement of that with more schools in North America, there's been like a want, or there's been like an initiative for clubs or anyone interested getting experience in live streaming or just broadcasting in general to start up their own streams of themselves, trying to make it as professional as they can with the assets or the resources that they're given to them baseline. So I think that's where it's sort of came across, or how it's come along so far. I think it's just dependent on the students or the initiative taken for that, and as well as the resources that they're given at the beginning and what they can use with that. And that also makes it unique to them as well.
Yeah, it's fun to hear about those humble beginnings of broadcasting to now.
On our end at CSU at University of Calgary, hopefully it'll get bigger. We're going to do everything we can to make it get bigger. Hopefully we can start throwing bigger and bigger events. But in the Calgary space overall, there's a ton of exciting things going on. There are programs popping up at almost every post-secondary education institute here. There is high school systems popping up that we're talking to right now and helping them get set up. So if you look at high school populations, they are also interested. And especially with broadcasting, there's no better place to look than the Bow Valley Arena.
Yeah.
It's just a marvel of what esports can be in Calgary. Hopefully, yeah, we'll get to do some stuff with them as well, because that's really exciting. You know, it's just connecting these communities and uniting these communities, and that's a big part of why we called ourselves Calgary Esports United. We want to connect everybody and make sure that we all throw our own hats in, so that we all can better esports in Alberta and Calgary.
It's just all exciting, and I'm looking forward to it.
We're very excited to see everybody starting their own things so that we can collaborate, and we are very active with communities across Alberta and the greater region, so we're always on the lookout.
It's going to be amazing. I can see how it's growing, and I'm looking out for all of you guys and seeing your names out there.
As we're wrapping this up, can you give any tips of resources people can find or practices they could implement for aspiring commentators?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for starters, you can listen to your own games. You can do your own self-interest in it. And then also, if you have the opportunity to, you can reach out to people in the scene as well. And they'd be happy to provide you resources or provide you help on how to get started in esports broadcasting, and even looking locally as well at your schools or universities like we are here. I mean, they'd be happy to see what they can do for you.
Yeah, because that's what esports is, a welcoming community.
Yeah, it is.
So in terms of aspiring commentators, specifically commentating, I got my start volunteering for a high school tournament that I was playing in. I literally just asked the tournament organizers, hey, can I cast a few games? And then me and my friends started casting a few games. I really enjoyed it, so I casted more and more tournaments after that. So just find any third-party organized tournament, and chances are they'd probably need volunteer casters. That's worked for me a lot of times. In terms of improving, I would say definitely watching professional casts. I look for, in terms of analytical casting, I look at what they sort of say, what points they focus on, and try to implement that in my own thing. In terms of more play-by-play casting, I look for figures of speech they use, stuff like that, and I kind of just keep it in my memory bank and pull it out when the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah, so it's a mix of finding somewhere to get hands-on experience while researching videos, other commentators, and
that would be my biggest piece of advice. Just do it. Just get started. Put yourself out there. Yeah.
Just start something.
And that would be my advice in general for the esports scene.
Yeah, that's great advice. Thank you.
Yeah.
For people interested in, joining in or viewing, how can they be a part of it?
We stream on Twitch at Calgary Esports United, and then if they want to join the club and kind of get involved, they can always join the Discord, ask around. If they see something that we're not doing already, or they see something they like and they want to help out, they can always reach out to one of us, and we can talk to them about possibly getting them involved as well. Just because the more the merrier. If they're passionate and they want to do things in their community, I'm sure we've got space for them.
Are these just for students or for general public?
So generally for student union clubs, official members are student only, but we also interact with a lot of non-students that are in the community. They sometimes will help our events, they might sponsor our events, they might lend a hand, volunteer, which is totally acceptable, and we're always inviting those people. And we even have some in-person viewership that's available. Sometimes for events, if we feel like we can, we'll be able to set up a viewing area in engineering. And so if you do want to come watch live the players play in these tournaments or collegiate events, just check the Discord. If there is viewership space available there, you'll know, and we'll definitely be hoping to do some in-person viewing, especially in the atrium there. That it's like a little arena for UFC.
Yeah, you're gonna get lots of screams and hyping up.
Hopefully. I want to see some pop-offs in the crowd.
Most definitely.
We would like to thank our guests for sharing valuable information to help us learn more about the world of esports.
We've come to the end of The Voices of the Arena. Today, we learned from some of Calgary's esports commentators about the art of storytelling, the stream setup, technology, and other techniques behind great broadcasting. Whether you're narrating the action or building the excitement, mastering the craft is key to bringing esports to life. We heard just a little bit about Sisu in this episode, but we get to hear much more about them in the next one. So stick around. I'm Jordan Lee, signing out.